What if the brands getting the most attention right now are actually the least sustainable? Think about it. Some businesses are going viral every week, posting nonstop, chasing every trend, getting all the likes and applause, and still quietly falling apart behind the scenes. Meanwhile, there are quiet brands building trust, building systems, building loyal communities, and they are the ones still standing years later. So let me ask you something real before we jump into today's episode. Are you building a business or performing success online? Because in 2026, attention alone is no longer enough. Trust is dropping. Customer loyalty is weaker, and it is getting more expensive than ever to stay visible in crowded markets. According to recent business reports, customer acquisition costs have skyrocketed while long-term retention continues to decline. Translation: loud gets noticed, but quiet consistency gets paid. And today, I want to unpack why some of the loudest brands are burning out fast, while quieter builders are quietly building ecosystems, loyalty, and legacy. Because hype may create spike, but systems create sustainability. And on that note, I will be right back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Welcome to the Pulse, where the paper gets cracking. Creativity and strategy make it all happen. You ain't gotta sell, just market with flair. Put your brand on the map and leave them in despair. Smooth as jazz notes, the deals get closed. Ideas flowing like rivers, watch them explode. Through each campaign, we paint with precision. No need for selling, just spark the vision. Creativity reigns, we master the plan. From concept to launch, we make the stand. Strategies tight, rhythm in check. Welcome to the Pulse, where we break the net.
Welcome back to the Postal Marketing. Happy Marketing Monday. I'm your host, Coach LJ, and you already know the vibe. You don't have to know how to sell, but you do have to know how to market. This is the space where I help quiet builders escape hyperculture and build sustainable businesses through clarity, systems, consistency, and purpose without burnout or losing their voice. Can we be real? Hype gets attention, but loyalty builds businesses. Today is not about doing more. It is about doing what actually lasts, because some of you are exhausted, not because you are failing, but because you are performing, posting, launching, pivoting, rebranding, and still wondering why momentum feels fragile. Here's the truth. Most people will not say out loud. And can I be real with you for a second? Because this is one of those episodes I would like to hold up a mirror, because I am talking to myself. This is a reality mirror, and why attention is not enough anymore. You have seen it. Big launches, viral moments, and just hit six figures posts everywhere. And if we are honest, part of us thinks, am I behind? But here's the uncomfortable question no one asks out loud. Where did all those brands go a year later? Because while attention is loud, disappearance is quiet. Here's what most highlight reels do not show: the visibility without durability, the quiet chunks, the exhausted creators who are rebuilding again, the brands that peak fast and vanish faster. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 45% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years, and nearly 65% fell within 10. And no, most did not fail because they lacked visibility. They fell because they could not sustain value long enough. Now layer this in. The Harvard Business Review has consistently found that customer acquisition costs had increased by over 60% in the last 5 years, while customer loyalty has declined across digital platforms. Translation: it is getting more expensive to get attention and harder to keep trust. And trust, my friend, is the only currency that compounds. So, what is the deeper issue? The trust gap. And here's where it gets even more sobering.
What if the biggest thing holding you back isn't failure? What if it's quitting too soon? Every year, people walk away from dreams, businesses, goals, and opportunities, not because they lacked talent, but because they stopped before the breakthrough. I know that feeling personally, the self-doubt, the overthinking, the frustration of starting strong and losing momentum. That's exactly why I wrote my new book, Quit or Shut Up: How to Transform Your Life or Business in 90 Days. This is not just a motivational book, it's a challenge, a blueprint, a wake-up call. Inside this book, I'll help you build discipline, develop consistency, shift your mindset, and stop making emotional decisions that sabotage your future. Because success doesn't come from motivation alone, it comes from execution. This book was written for the entrepreneur, the dreamer, the creator, the person who knows they're capable of more, but keeps getting stuck in cycles of stopping and restarting. And now, it's time to break that cycle. Quit or Shut Up officially releases July 14th, and pre-orders are available now. As a special bonus, early book purchasers will also receive exclusive access. Because this is bigger than a book, this is a movement toward execution, discipline, and transformation. The real question is, are you going to keep quitting emotionally, or will you start executing intentionally? Pre-order your copy today, and let's build together.
The Element Trust Barometer reports that only 34% of consumers trust brands that see online, and trust drops even further when messaging feels performative or inconsistent. So yes, people are watching, but they do not always believe. And when trust erodes, retention drops, referrals dry up, and communities weaken. That is why so many brands look successful until they are gone. However, the right way to build quietly while the internet shouts. So, let me tell you what this has looked like for me. While building the Now Academy and the Now University, I have had moments where the highlight hustle, whisper, go louder, go faster, post more. However, real life said something different. Curriculum takes time, systems take testing, and community takes trust. I am not trying to win the algorithm. I am trying to build something that will still be standing when trends shift. Same thing with Quit or Shut Up in the 90-day challenge. I could have hyped the launch more, but I chose to build in public instead, showing the progress, owning the pivot, letting people see the work, not just the win. That decision did not create valuable spikes. It created relational equity. Here's what I have learned building this ecosystem. People do not stay just because you post every day. They stay because you show up consistently when no one was clapping. Data back this up. According to McKinsey and Company, companies that prioritize long-term customer relationships over short-term growth tactics see 25 to 40% higher retention and up to 60% higher lifetime customer value. That is not hype. That is math. And that is why the Now Academy feeds the university. The university feeds the boot camp. The boot camp feeds the community. and the message stays consistent across all of it. I am not rebuilding every year. I am reinforcing. Here's the part that might sting a little, but it will also free you. Most businesses do not fail because they were not visible. They fail because they were not valuable long enough. Attention can introduce you. However, only trust can keep you. And trust is built quietly through consistency, through integrity, and through delivering value even when it is not trendy. That is the reality mirror. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Let me ask you something and answer it honestly, not out loud. Have you ever watched someone's business blow up online only to quietly disappear 6 months later? Not a scandal, not a lawsuit, just gone. That is not a coincidence. That is contrast. Because right now, there are two very different paths being marketed as success. And only one of them actually lasts. See, attention is loud. Trust is quiet. Let us name the first path, the highlight hustle. This is where most people start because it looks like momentum. Chasing reach over relationships. Optimizing for virality, not viability. And measuring success by likes, shares, and applause. And yes, it works temporarily. And data backs this up. According to a HubSpot marketing report, viral first campaigns generate up to 3 to 5 times spikes in short-term traffic, but over 70% fail to convert into repeat customers within 90 days. Translation: you get attention, but not allegiance. Even more telling, Breville, a labor statistics report that 45% of small businesses fail within their first 5 years, and one of the leading contributors is inconsistent revenue tied to unpredictable demand. Fast spikes, fast burnout, fragile businesses. Now, contrast that with the second path, the quiet building path. This is the path most people do not brag about because it is not flashy, but it is the one that compounds. The quiet builder path looks like this: prioritizing retention over reach, building systems that reward consistency, and optimizing for trust, not trends. And the result: slower growth, stronger foundations, and actual longevity. Here's the data most people skip. According to Harvard Business Review, increasing customer retention by just 5% can boost profits by 25 to 95% depending on the industry. Meanwhile, Bain and Company found that repeat customers spend 67% more than new ones. This is no smoke screen. We are talking straight math. Trust compounds, attention evaporates. Let me make this real. There was a season when I thought visibility was the game. More content, more posts, more platforms. I was building in public. The Now Academy, the Now University, writing Quit or Shut Up, planning the 90-day challenge, and on the outside, it looked like momentum. But internally, I had to ask myself a hard question. If the algorithm disappeared tomorrow, would anything I am building still stand? That question changed everything because I realized something uncomfortable. I was getting attention, but not always building infrastructure. And infrastructure is what holds weight when the noise dies down. So I shifted. Instead of chasing reach, I focused on retention and rhythm. The Now Academy became an entry point, not a one-off idea. The Now University was not rushed. It was secret for sustainability. Twitter Shut Up was not launched to trend. It was built to teach, anchor, and extend conversations into the 90-day challenge. No viral spikes, no overnight explosions. But here is what happens next. Now I can have deeper conversations, repeat engagement, and people staying, not just stopping by. This aligns with McKinsey's report, A Durable Growth, in which businesses that prioritize ecosystem design and customer trust grow 1.8 times faster over time than those focused solely on acquisition.
What's up, family? Let me ask you something real. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything? Watching videos, saving content, taking notes, but still not getting results? You've got ideas, you've got motivation, you've got potential, but something still feels missing. And deep down, you know you're capable of more. Today, I'm going to show you why that's happening. And more importantly, how to fix it. Because today is not about motivation. Today is about structure, execution, and results. Let's call it what it is. Most people are not failing because they lack talent. They're failing because they lack four things: clarity. You don't fully know what to build, whom to serve, or how to position yourself, so you keep starting and restarting. Then comes structure. You've got ideas, but no system. Your business currently looks like this: random content, inconsistent action, and no clear path to money. Then there's execution discipline. You're motivated one day, stuck the next. Without consistency, nothing compounds. And finally, this is the big one. You're building alone. Let's be real. Building alone is hard. No feedback, no accountability, no guidance. So you overthink, delay, and doubt yourself. Information is not your problem. Direction is. Let me take you back for a second. I've been there, trying to figure it out, trying different things, second guessing myself. And what I realized was this: I didn't need more information. I needed a system. That's what changed everything. And that's why I built what I'm about to share with you today. Most people build like this: idea, action, confusion, then quit. But successful builders move differently: identity, clarity, structure, execution, then results. You don't build a business first, you build a builder. That's why people fail every 90 days, not because they lack talent, but because they lack identity, alignment, and systems. So the question becomes, what does it actually take to build the right way? That's where this comes in. This is not just a course, this is a system for transformation. Inside the Total Business Access Bootcamp, you get clarity: what business to build, who to target, how to position yourself. You get structure, step-by-step roadmaps, marketing systems, sales systems, and real execution frameworks. You get execution, weekly action steps, accountability, and real-world implementation. And most importantly, you get community. You're no longer building alone. You're surrounded by people who are building, growing, and holding each other accountable. Inside the bootcamp, we focus on purpose. Why are you building? Product. What are you offering? People. Who are you serving? Process. How do you deliver consistently? Profit. How do you make money and scale? This is where most people get stuck. You'll gain clarity in all five. Now, let's address what you're probably thinking right now. I don't have enough money. That's exactly why you need structure. Because staying stuck costs more. I don't have enough time. You don't need more time. You need better direction. I'm not ready yet. You don't get ready first. You get started, then grow into it. So here's the move. If you're serious, if you're tired of guessing, and if you're ready to build with clarity, then join the Total Business Access Bootcamp. This is where ideas become structure, structure becomes execution, and execution becomes results. And remember, you do not have to build alone anymore. The life you want, the business you see in your head, and the impact you know you're capable of, it's not far away, but it does require a decision to stop watching and start building. So the real question is, are you going to keep waiting or step into your next opportunity? Let's build your business, your brand, and your future. Join us now and let's get to work.
Quiet growth is not slow, it is stable. So here's the contrast: clean and honest. The highlight hustle, loud launches, short memory, high chunk, and constant rebuilding. The quiet builder path, consistent presence, earn trust, compounding loyalty, and systems that outlast trends. And here's the uncomfortable truth. I will say calmly, not dramatically. Loud brands fade. Trusted brands last. That is not a motivational quote. This is a business model. Here is one thing you can test this week. Instead of asking, will this post perform? Ask, will this help my best customer stay longer? That single shift will change your content, your office, and your messaging. Short term numbers may dip, but long term loyalty will rise. Let me say this gently and say something that might sound backwards at first. Some of the most profitable businesses I have watched do not post the most, do not talk the loudest, and do not explain everything they know. Yet somehow they outperform larger brands, retain customers longer, spend less on advertising, and sleep better at night. They did not hustle harder, they positioned better. And that is what I want to discuss now. The power of silent strategy, also known as implied authority. Here is a problem many entrepreneurs do not realize they are creating. We have been trained to believe if I do not explain everything, people will not trust me. So we overteach, overpost, overexplain, and overgive. And what happens? You do not become clearer. You become common. Research backs this up. According to Harvard Business Review, perceived expertise increases when leaders demonstrate selected disclosure, sharing outcomes, frameworks, and insights rather than step by step execution. Over explaining actually reduces perceived authority by up to 23% in professional settings. In marketing terms, explainers get bookmarked and authorities get brought. Another study from Element Trust Barometer found that 67% of consumers trust brands more when they demonstrate confidence and restraint rather than constant persuasion. In other words, confidence does not shout, it signals the shift because authority is not claimed, it is inferred. Here is where silent strategy comes in. Implied authority is not about withholding value. It is about signaling competence without begging for belief. This is why smaller brands often outperform bigger ones. A Bain and Company analysis shows that businesses with clear positioning and strong customer trust spend 30 to 40% less on paid acquisitions than competitors chasing scale through visibility alone. Why? Because when people trust you, they do not need convincing. They lean in, and leaning in is worth more than scrolling past. Now, consider this approach. Learning to stop performing. I want to talk to you not as a coach, but as a builder. There was a time when I felt pressure to explain everything, every decision, every framework, and every move I was making with the Now Academy, the Now University, and Quit or Shut Up. I thought clarity meant constant explanation. However, something shifted when I started building in public with intention. Instead of narrating every step, I started showing progress without theatrics, structure without spectacular, direction without desperation, and something interesting happened. The questions changed. People stopped asking, how do I start? And started asking, how do I work with you? That is implied authority. It is building quietly and public effect. Take, quit, or shut up in the 90-day challenge. I could have broken down every chapter, explained every exercise, and market every step, but instead, I'll focus on the why, the transformation, and the consistency of the message. I showed the work without overselling the mechanics. And here's why that matters. According to McKinsey, brands that lead with outcomes and transformation rather than features achieve 25% higher conversion rates for service-based offers. People do not want your steps. They want your certainty. That is why I do not break down every move here, because the ones who get it are already leaning in, and the ones who are not, they are still waiting for instructions rather than alignment. Let me leave this part intentionally unfinished. Not because I do not know the steps, not because I cannot teach them, but because authority grows when you leave space. Silent strategy works because it invites curiosity, creates gravity, and filters commitment. And that is why smaller audiences outperform bigger ones. Trusted brands outlast loud brands, and quieter builders build legacies. No hype, no rush, no explanation required. If you felt yourself leaning in just now, it was not accidental. That is the strategy. If you only do one thing this quarter, do this. Build for retention before reach. That means one core audience, one clear transformation, and one next step in their journey. Ask yourself, after someone finds me, where do they go next? If the answer is nowhere, you do not need more content. You need a connection. This is how businesses compound quietly. This is not about abandoning growth. It is about earning it. Hype makes noise. Loyalty makes money. And trust builds legacy. Let me ask you something real. Are you building for applause or alignment? What is one way you could serve your existing audience better this week? Drop it in the comments. I am reading all of them. If you want help applying this instead of guessing, that is exactly why the Noun University exists. No more hype, no more theory, but structure, accountability, and systems that last. The link is in the show notes. And if you step in, I will walk with you through it. And if you enjoyed this topic, catch the Fathering Marketing Monday episode where we will talk about fast looks good, but slow lasts. And as I always remind you, you don't have to know how to sell, but you do have to know how to market. Also, help continue to spread this message with your support of this podcast by subscribing, following me on your favorite podcast channel, liking, rating, commenting, and leaving a review, and sharing this message with a friend to help me grow this podcast and continue bringing nuggets to help you market right in your business. I would like to leave with one last piece of wisdom. You do not need to be louder. You need to be clearer. So stay grounded, stay consistent, and keep building what lasts. This is Coach Elgin, and the Highlight Hustle is officially over until the next Marketing Monday. And you already know what's coming next. Deuces! Hey!
What if the biggest thing holding you back isn't failure? What if it's quitting too soon? Every year, people walk away from dreams, businesses, goals, and opportunities, not because they lacked talent, but because they stopped before the breakthrough. I know that feeling personally, the self-doubt, the overthinking, the frustration of starting strong and losing momentum. That's exactly why I wrote my new book, Quit or Shut Up: How to Transform Your Life or Business in 90 Days. This is not just a motivational book, it's a challenge, a blueprint, a wake-up call. Inside this book, I'll help you build discipline, develop consistency, shift your mindset, and stop making emotional decisions that sabotage your future. Because success doesn't come from motivation alone, it comes from execution. This book was written for the entrepreneur, the dreamer, the creator, the person who knows they're capable of more, but keeps getting stuck in cycles of stopping and restarting. And now, it's time to break that cycle. Quit or Shut Up officially releases July 14th, and pre-orders are available now. As a special bonus, early book purchasers will also receive exclusive access. Because this is bigger than a book, this is a movement toward execution, discipline, and transformation. The real question is, are you going to keep quitting emotionally, or will you start executing intentionally? Pre-order your copy today and let's build together.